Moving on, we're going to talk about the Chicago Red Stars, another new coach in the NWSL with Lauren Donaldson, former Jamaican women's national team coach. He has moved to the Windy City. We have high hopes to have Mallory Swanson back very, very soon, if not sooner than we think, Sandra. I don't know. We've got our insider, Sandra Herrera, here that's going to tell us all of the dirty, dark secrets about Chicago Red Stars. Sandra,
Here
what
they
do you
are.
think of the Red Stars this year?
Hope, right? You got to have hope. I think, again, in some similar threads to some other teams that we've spoken about on these two episodes already. I think that's where the Red Stars are heading into 2024. I think for the first time in a really long time, after the struggle of some really tough seasons and some very deeply disturbing and negative headlines around the franchise, finally, it sort of feels like this is the official fresh start that this club has alluded to for a number of seasons at this point. So uh, I think the biggest thing, the biggest changer in that was making sure that they had the ownership change. And then from there, they started adding all these pieces, whether it was the club president or hiring head coach and Lauren Donaldson, and just the conversations that I've had with players and executives and front office staff is just sort of the energy is just completely different than what it has been in the last couple of seasons. They want to get back to having fun for these players, and that sounds like a real way of simplifying things, but that also tells you where the team was for a certain amount of time, where that maybe didn't really exist for some of these players. And everything that I've heard about Lauren Donaldson is that that's what he's going to bring. That these trainings and this preseason has been competitive, but there's also been the fun element that's back into the mix with this. And having Mal Swanson really close. She says she's ready to go week one, but we'll see what doctors and coaches ultimately decide on that. But I think there's also that aspect of hope too, like your most prolific scorer, the person who's going to essentially be the face of your franchise for the next 5 years or so, ready to go on potentially match day one, I think is massive. And they're trying to strike that balance. They're trying to strike that balance in terms of players who have had experience in the league, combined with newer faces into the mix. So having the draft class that they've had, Leilani Nesbitt, I mean, giving a contract to her. Also, Jimmy Joseph as well. I think this was a player that I think kind of fell on some draft boards. I had that attacker out of North Carolina State. I believe in my first mock draft, kind of going in that first round, but dropped a little bit. And Chicago went out and got her. And apparently they like what she's been doing in preseason because she's got a contract as well now with Chicago. So there's all these different elements now for this team. They also went out and got some free agents, and some of those free agents happen to have international experience as well as NWSL experience. So I think a team with no expectations and nothing to lose is always a dangerous team.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is a team that might smile while providing you some agony is a dangerous team. So I'm here for it. Let's go.
Yeah. Chicago finished absolutely dead last year. They conceded 50 goals in the NWSL. A really tough
Brutal.
mark for them. Of course, without their superstar, Mallory Swanson, for most of the year, if not all of it. Darian, if Mallory Swanson is ready to go, does she get the start on Saturday?
I don't think so. I think maybe she comes in at half. Maybe they've been playing preseason games and she's been able to get to 90, but coming off of an injury like that, we want to see her make this Olympic squad. We want to see her have a long, healthy season career. So as much as, yeah, I want to see her come get the start, score 37 goals this first game, I think they need to be smart. But you never know. Maybe she's been rehabbing and very, very progressive in her game time. The biggest thing for Chicago for me was signing Lauren Donaldson. I think despite everything else that Chicago's been through and has had going on, if you have a good coach, everything else doesn't matter. It doesn't. You can grind through it. And so for them to have the foundation of Lauren Donaldson there, and who's talked about having fun, being structured, but making this a place of joy where there you get to come work, and getting buy-in from the players early on, which we had him on our podcast and he spoke to that he's just going to come in and be honest. He's going to get the players to see the system. He's not going to have any sort of ulterior motives, and they're going to see that. And that's how they're going to progress and start the year. Is great for this team and what they've been craving for a really long time. They've deserved better for years. So I'm really excited for that. And you know what? I don't think that Chicago's done making moves. I like that they have Sam Staub and Kuika in the back line. I think that that's going to be a huge addition for them, with some consistency and leadership and not so just relying on Mal Pugh. And Shea Groom is another one too, that another one of those feisty players that you love on your team, you hate to play against, but that gives a lot of energy to the squad. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come out. I don't know if it's going to be as, hot as we want them to in the very beginning, but I do think they're going to build to be a really, really good team throughout this year.
Building is going to be key for Chicago Red Stars. They also have Tierna Davidson in the back, who we just saw with the United States prove that she is ready to go, and ready to play with this side without Casey Kruger. They're definitely, she is with Gotham. You're exactly right. I forgot about that. She's no longer there. I knew that.
It's okay. There's a lot of
we're on Gold Cup time.
So
right
many.
now.
I am on Gold Cup time. Okay, so then without Casey Kruger, without Tierna Davidson in the back line, question marks there. Sam Staub's going to have to step up and be a really big part of that defensive unit.
Yeah, I think getting Staub and Kuika were massive in that, and having Alyssa Nair back for another year, yes, I think is massive as well. So
that's a good point. Darian, you mentioned when you have a good coach, it proves a lot. I immediately thought of Gotham. Not that Gotham did not have talented players last year by any means, but they rallied around Juan Carlos Samaros, and they had a good coach that was able to take them from last to first. Hot take, is that going to happen for Chicago this year?
I don't think so. I think maybe last to 6th or 7th at the moment.
Postseason.
We'll see. I'm not really sure. The first few weeks are going to be really telling for me. I still don't think Chicago's done making moves. I think they have a lot. I think they need more experience on their team still. Yeah. I think they need more in their front line. They can't just rely on Mal Pugh, although you can. What do you do when she's gone?
Yeah.
What do you do when she gets a knock? They need more depth in their team. I think they're creating the culture and the standard right now. Yeah. They need to add more layers to that when, these big players maybe go down or they're on international duty or something, life happens, they can still be a solid team to go play against and not, this player's out. Oh, great. It's time to eat. We're going to crush them. Mm-hmm. That's how I think teams went into playing Chicago last year, and their goal deficit shows it.
They also have Cam Bogalski as well in the back line, which has a lot of familiarity playing with Sam Staub. Those two players formerly at Washington. So hopefully to add some stability for Chicago and Lauren Donaldson
and a
line.
local kid too.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
They wanted to try to get that back in the mix, having lost some of their local players as well. So could be a fan favorite pretty quickly.
Potentially Chicago has the opportunity to get a win on opening day against an expansion side. They take on Utah Saturday, March 16th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, which is a bright light for me for Chicago, right? To get started on the right foot.
They've done it before.
Yep. To start a season with a win, playing at Utah, definitely going to be a little bit more difficult, but it's an opportunity for Chicago to kind of lay the groundwork for the 2024 season and what kind of team they want to be. And under Lauren Donaldson, I'm really excited for them to kind of take that next step.